Hi everybody, it's Pam Otto here from the St. Charles Park District. I thought we'd have a little bit of fun today looking at our old friend the Warner Brothers sheepdog because quite honestly that's the way I feel these days. I don't quite have enough confidence in our masks and our COVID protocols to go and get my hair cut, and frankly it's time. But if you see me doing a little bit of this throughout today's visit, that's why I'm feeling a little sheepdoggy. We are here today to construct this beautiful wildlife feeding mechanism, also known as a squirrel picnic table. I don't know how many of you have spent the last few decades in the Chicago area, but back in the 1960s and 70s, there was a morning TV show, a kids TV show on WGN called The Ray Rayner Show. And every week or so, Ray would do what he called a do-it-yourself project. Now, part of that show involved a person, I don't know if it was a real person or a number of people, but they always referred to the person who did the do-it-yourself project in advance as Chauncey. And Ray would hold up this beautifully executed craft of one form or another. And then on camera, he would attempt to replicate that effort. Usually it didn't go so well for Ray. There'd be blobs of glue and the glitter would spill, and things never looked quite right as compared to the Chauncey ideal. They would also, every time they would show Chauncey's work, you'd hear a little triangle ding to show, kind of accentuate the beauty of the piece that he put together. We are going to do our best today to assemble these pieces that are in the kit, following the instructions, the written instructions that should also be with the kit. Come along with me and we'll put this together with fingers crossed. You'll notice we've pre-inserted the screws here on either end. And these are actually going to not be seen once the table is fully assembled. So we're going to place these using the screws provided. I'm going to try and center these as best I can. And we want the edges of the table to be even, and we also want them spaced out fairly evenly too along these cross pieces. We want to allow enough space between these crossbars and the end of the table so that when we put our legs on, they're not sticking out or overlapping. That. That. This other one centered here. This is nice soft cedar wood, so the screws actually go in pretty easily. Phase one is now complete. All right, we're already up to step two. We're going to make the benches for our picnic table. And to do that, we need our these are 9.5 inch 1 by 1. They're basically a square look like two columns. These form the support for the bench, and then we have two 8-inch bench pieces that have screws already started in them. Now, on the instruction sheet, it shows that there's a little bit of space at the end between the bench and the end of the 1x1. I'm actually going to install my bench seats all the way at the edge. It'll be flush on both ends. Yeah, I believe a while back we did a nature presentation on the types of squirrels that live in our area. We actually have 3 species of tree squirrel in this area. One is the gray squirrel. Another is the fox squirrel. Those are the larger and somewhat orangish members of the family. The gray squirrels come in an average of about 1 pound each, whereas fox squirrels tend to average about 2 pounds each. Now there's of course individual variations and variations between the two sexes, but generally speaking, our fox squirrels are about twice as large as the gray squirrels in our area. And we do have a 3rd species here. It's seldom seen by people because we are diurnal, which means we're active in the daytime, and this 3rd species is active at night. It is the flying squirrel. This area is home to a species, the southern flying squirrel is the species that we have here in Geneva and Kane County. And it's actually more common than you might think. We see evidence of them. They visit bird feeders a lot at night, but they are very, very nocturnal. Middle of the night is their kind of standard time for operating. Like our daytime squirrels, though, they do not hibernate, so they are active year-round. And if you sprinkle some seeds, we are going to set up our squirrel picnic table here to be primarily a corn cob feeding arrangement, but you can certainly sprinkle bird seed around it. And sunflower seeds in particular have a lot of fat, which is important to squirrel survival in the wintertime. And if you put some of that those fatty black oil sunflower seeds out for your daytime squirrels, you might get some nighttime squirrels too in the form of those flying squirrels. Okay, so now here we've got our benches that are mounted somewhat squarely, and we're going to move on to step 3. Okay, we've got our benches and we've got our top. Now in step 3, we are going to connect them using these 4 pieces cut on an angle with the screws already started. So we've got to attach our 4 legs, which are then going to connect our bench seats to our picnic table top. There's a difference in the distance from the end of the piece to where the screws are. When we use these, when we install these, we are going to place the screws that are closest to the edge. Those are the top parts. And the spaces where there's a greater distance between the screws and the ends, that goes on the bottom. I'm going to start by screwing the legs onto the bottom portion, which would be the portion that has our benches on it. And a little bit of, we're going to try and center these, kind of get an idea of how they fit together. You want the tops to meet, and you want across the top to be flat. So I'm not a carpenter, so this is going to be somewhat inexact. Oops, that looked about right. be helpful for this step if you had 3 or 4 hands. Now we are going to take our top, and this is where the stability is really going to come in. We're going to insert it. Look at how that fits. Even though my placement wasn't exactly as precise as our own Park District Chauncey, looks like it's going to come together quite nicely. Go ahead, push these screws in. Hopefully this isn't too tough on the wrists. I might be taking some Advil tonight just to keep things loose. But again, this heater really accepts the screw, the torque, the twist of the screw accepts it quite nicely. We're almost there. All right, we've got a couple of quick steps now to make our squirrel picnic table fully functional. We want to attach the bracket that's going to allow us to put it on a post or on a tree. We're going to aim to drill these, move these screws into the legs of our table. And I think I did a little bit better job on this side, keeping my legs even. So I'm going to put my board over here. See if it's relatively straight. There you go. Now, we've got the screw here. I'm going to poke that in. So I can probably do most of that by hand, but that will, again, that'll enable you to feed an ear of corn if that's what your squirrels desire. You know, my mom's family are grain farmers, and every year we would get a big box of field corn from Hugg's farm downstate, and that ensured that our backyard squirrels pretty much ate like kings all winter long. There we go. So that, if you want to put a ear of corn, you know, you've got the means to do that. Well, here we have our side-by-side comparisons of the Chauncey version and the Ray Rayner version of our Squirrel Picnic Table Do-It-Yourself project. Can you tell the difference? Folks, I had a lot of fun today assembling our Squirrel Picnic Tables. I hope you did too. I know the squirrels will appreciate our efforts. You take care. Hope to see you in person soon.